Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, and today it's my pleasure to have Suzanne Doyle-Ingram with us. Suzanne is a best-selling author who has written and co-written a total of 15 books. She coaches and trains business professionals on how to write and publish a book and how to use that book as leverage to increase their visibility, open doors for speaking engagements, grow their brand and business, and much more. Suzanne has also helped hundreds of business professionals get published through collaborative anthology books by bringing together the collaborative efforts of experts in various fields that contribute to one multi-author book on a specific topic. Suzanne has had tremendous success with this model. She lives in a little seaside town near Vancouver, Canada. Suzanne, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, and it's great to have you here. I think we met in 2017 at a mastermind event put on by Doug Allen. And I don't think we kept in touch after that.
I know, it's funny, but I feel like you're an old friend. It was such an intense mastermind experience that it's really, really great to see you again.
Yes, and it's great to see you too. Now, if you could differentiate for our listener a book that is self-published, a book that is an anthology where they contribute a chapter to, and a book that they get a traditional publisher for, what's the best model? What are the pros and cons of each of these different options?
Okay, that's a good question. So they're quite different. Let's start with the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing. If you could imagine a line, and a horizontal line, and self-publishing is at one end and traditional is on the other. The difference is that with self-publishing, it can be much faster, and you will own all the rights to your book, and you will get all of the royalties from the sales of your book. And with traditional publishing on the other end of the line, it takes a lot longer. You usually have to have a very big following to get published traditionally, like more than 1 million followers. Sometimes I have people that say, I have tons and tons of followers. I have 2,000 people that follow me on LinkedIn. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, that's not tons and tons of followers in this big old world of ours. But with traditional publishing, it's also, you don't have a lot of control. You don't really get very much money every time a book sells. So those are the differences. But the thing is that I always like to tell people is that self-publishing has come a long way. It used to be kind of a dirty word, and it used to be literally like you go to the copy shop and then like staple a bunch of papers together, and it used to look absolutely terrible. But you can make a self-published book look very, very professional. So, I mean, that's what we've been doing for a long time is we publish a book for people, but we let them, so we do professionally edit and cover and the interior formatting and everything, but then we do it all in their name and let them keep the rights and keep all the royalties. So it's sort of a win-win. But you also asked about the anthology books. One thing that is one of my biggest pet peeves in this industry is when one person puts together an anthology book, but they only put their own name on Amazon. That really bugs me because I think if someone has contributed a chapter to a book, they deserve to have the same recognition as the lead or the person who put it all together. So we always make sure we have a pretty good relationship with Amazon nowadays because we've been doing this for 12 years. And so we always put all of the authors' names on Amazon because then they get to have their own Amazon author page, and there's other ways that they can use it as a marketing tool.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned keeping the rights. When you have a self-published book, you get the rights for your book. If you're dealing with the traditional publisher, you sign those rights away to them. They own the intellectual property of the book that you're writing. So what are the benefits of having these rights? Is it worth the missed opportunity cost of not having a big name publisher?
I think so, because it depends what your goal is. Before I even start working with someone, I always say, what do you want the book to do for you? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you want? If they say, I want to sell 1 million copies, I go, okay, well, let's look at why. Because I believe that you can have a very successful book without even selling very many copies at all if you can use the book as a marketing tool and help it grow your business or use it to grow your business. So I have had people come to me after being published traditionally and say, okay, now Suzanne, I want you to do my book for me, because then they can update the book anytime they want. You know, if they want to add a bonus chapter, and then we just literally re-upload it to Amazon, that's live within 24 to 48 hours. You don't have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops and work with a team of 25 people and beg and ask for permission, because it's all yours. So that's why I don't know. I think it's the only advantage with traditional is really the name. Like, I'm published by Wiley or Penguin, you know, that sort of thing. But for the most part, it doesn't matter. I always say to people, okay, tell me the names of the last 5 books that you read. Now, quick, tell me who published them. Nobody knows, and nobody cares. The reader doesn't care.
Yeah, that's a good point. It used to be that there was name cachet with, let's say you're a tech geek. O'Reilly books have a certain
Yes.
cachet about them because, you know, it's O'Reilly. They're a cool tech brand. And
Mhm.
nowadays, does it really matter? Probably not so much. I have 3 books published with O'Reilly. The first edition of Google Power Search was published by O'Reilly, and it hardly sold any copies. They don't do much
No,
marketing
they don't
for you.
market
They
your book.
rely on you to do your marketing. And,
Exactly.
you know, that's no different from any other publisher, really. So I'm
Mhm.
not knocking O'Reilly at all. What I ran into, though, is when I wanted to do a second edition of Google Power Search, because so much had changed in how Google worked in terms of the user experience and the kinds of search operators and things that you could use. They were not interested. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, hasn't sold enough copies, Stefan, so we're not really keen on doing a second edition.
Oh, yeah.
Which, you know, I get it. It's a business decision.
Mhm.
But one thing they did that was I'm forever grateful for is they gave me the rights back. They actually offered
Oh,
to do that. So
that's nice.
this is the 3rd edition I'm holding up right now of Google Power Search that just came out within the last 6 months,
That's
and
great.
it's probably 3 times larger now than the first edition. It's
Yeah.
much more comprehensive, has a lot more great examples, and anything that was in the first edition that was a deprecated search operator or anything like that, things like the tilde operator, which worked for um, specifying synonyms. You could say
Mhm.
tilde auto, and it would also include vehicle and car and so forth.
Okay.
Those sort of things don't exist in the Google algorithm anymore.
Hmm.
So can't use that. Can't use InLink, or no,
Yeah.
yeah, InLink is one that you
So
can't.
it definitely needed to be updated.
Yeah, so I was very grateful that they
Mhm.
gave me the rights back, and I could use the first edition as the basis to come out with a second edition, and then more recently in the third edition.
Mhm.
And it has an audiobook too,
Oh, that's great.
because I have the
Well, I
rights.
was
I could
that.
choose to do that, and
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
I don't have an audiobook of the art of SEO.
Hmm.
An
Well,
audio,
that would take you 10 years to read that book.
yeah, yeah, and I certainly wouldn't narrate it myself.
Oh, you got a great voice. I think you
Yeah.
could do that.
Well, no, I could theoretically, but it's 994 pages. So would I want
Yes,
to?
it's a big,
Nope.
big, big book. Yeah, big. So I was gonna say, yeah, when we've had people come from, hey, Suzanne, I had, Hay House or somebody published my first book, but now with my second book, I want Prominence to publish it. It's because they want to have flexibility. That's really what it's about, and they realize that that's the reason why traditional publishers want you to have a huge following, because they want to go, hey, here's the book, and have 100,000 people buy it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get to 100,000 books sold? That seems to many
It,
an insurmountable task.
you got to spend money. And a lot of authors they really believe that they're going to launch their book on Amazon and they're going to need to hire more staff to handle the news trucks parked on their lawn and Oprah Winfrey's going to call. That's one of the questions I have in my application form to have a call with me is something like, do you think Oprah Winfrey is going to call you? Because there's so much that goes into it. So after we launch a book, I always say that's when all the juicy stuff happens. So it's really not about selling books. It's about having the book sell you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you have most of our clients, they're, business coaches or life coaches, or, we've got everything from chiropractors to real estate agents to dog trainers, and everything in between. For some reason, a couple of people doing agile software and tons and tons of different industries. And so I say to them, after you launch your book, I don't want you to feel like you have a new full-time job trying to sell books, because it can feel like a gerbil on a wheel, like, hey, buy my book. Could you do me a favor? And I would say, we do not do that. We just, have best-selling author very humbly and quietly on your LinkedIn profile or on your media kit, and, get people on podcasts and get the word out about, what they do, and use the book as a vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Do you recommend having a publicist to help you get the book in front of?
I actually don't, because honestly, the clients that we have, they don't have $100,000 budgets. Publicists are pricey. Depends on your budget, though. If someone comes to me and says, I have a $50,000 budget, then okay, great, let's hire a publicist. But honestly, Stephan, most people, they just want to know the grassroots way of getting the word out there. Okay. And again, it comes back to what your goals are.
So give me a hypothetical scenario for each of these three options. Mm-hmm. I have a book, nonfiction book, ready to launch, self-published. I either have a $10,000 budget or a $50,000 budget or a $100,000 budget.
Aha.
So how would you spend that money with those three different scenarios?
Well, I have to know a little bit about your business first. So do you have something to sell on the back end?
Yes.
Okay. So the lower level budget, the 10,000, I would put that towards really good cover design. Or is that already been done? That's already been done?
Let's assume that the cover design and the ghostwriting and the editing has all been covered already.
All been covered. Okay. So, and you're going to self-publish it and get it on. Okay. Let me think.
So this is really the promotion budget. Like, would you hire a publicist in either of those three options, or all three, or just two of the three?
Yeah. I think in the 50,000 and 100,000, I'd hire a publicist. Mm-hmm. You might want to consider doing something like a free plus shipping offer, a la Russell Brunson's method of doing that, and some YouTube advertising and Facebook advertising. I know I'd actually refer you to someone that I won't get into him right now, but because someone might watch this podcast years from now or months from now. But I know someone that does really, really well with Facebook ads and YouTube ads for book marketing. So I would refer you to him. But I would always make sure that it's not just about book sales, but it's about, okay, what does the funnel look like? What does each step look like? And have something else to sell. Because if you're selling your book for $20, it could cost you $20 or $30 in lead costs to get that one sale. So there's got to be something else that you're selling. And I think a lot of authors do not understand that. And they don't have anything else to sell. And so they spend a lot of money trying to sell books, when it's really about the book is like, if you're a highway, the book is one of the on-ramps. You being on a podcast is another on-ramp, and somebody reading an article you wrote is another on-ramp. It's all about coming to you so that you can get more clients.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So are you doing this for yourself? Are you running Facebook ads, YouTube ads for the 15 books that you have, or like, how are you kind of, walking the talk?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just putting the finishing touches on. So the funny thing is, Stephan, the books that I have written over the years are on trending topics like taking care of your new baby and gluten-free recipes and women in business and different things like that. So the book I'm writing right now I'm really happy with it because it's really about my business, and it's called Everybody Has a Book Except You.
Okay.
So I like it because it's really cheeky. So I have my marketing guy waiting in the wings for me to just put the finishing touches on it. And I will be definitely running Facebook ads and YouTube ads to that book because I have a whole funnel behind it. Whereas like my gluten-free recipe books, I wrote under a fake name, a pen name, because I didn't want that attached to my business, right? I have a lot of books out there under pen names.
Oh, really? So the 15
Yeah.
books that I see in your bio, those do or do not include the ones that are ghostwritten, or I mean, are pen under a pseudonym.
That includes them. Yeah.
Includes them.
Yeah.
Okay. How many
Yeah.
of them are under a pseudonym out of the 15?
I think 7.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm. I've
Interesting.
been doing this a long time.
Okay. So I gave you those 3 scenarios, 10K, 50K, 100K. I'd love to get fleshed out more around what will go into each of those, besides Facebook ads and YouTube ads and the cost of the agency or consultant who's going to run those ads, and of course the publicist if we're talking about 50K, 100K. What else? And by the way, which of those 3 buckets are you in with your everybody has a book but you? What's your budget?
Mine will be about 100 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing is, I hate to disappoint you, but with Prominence Publishing, my business, our 2 main focuses are helping people start with, I don't have a book, and bring them to having a book. So we help people write books and we publish books, but we actually refer them out for the marketing of the book. So I'm probably not able to answer this question in exact details that you want me to answer, because we're all about getting the book written in the first place. That's really what we love to do. I mean, that is my true passion. And, I have a director of publishing that works for me that handles most of the publishing details because I can't do it all in my business. But I realized a couple of years ago, what I really, really, really love to do is to help people believe in themselves and help them write a book.
Okay. No, that
So
makes
sorry
total
to disappoint.
sense. But our listener is probably going to be even more relatable to you now because you're in the same boat where you don't have all the answers with regards
Yep.
to the marketing of the book. It's actually not that hard to get a book ghostwritten. There are a lot of ghostwriters who will interview you and
Yes.
get that
Yep.
transcribed, turn that
Yep.
into prose that you can now say, I have a manuscript. Now what? How is that going to change the world? How is that going to even just change my business? That's where the rubber meets the road. And when you say that I don't have all the answers, but I have a 100K budget that I'm putting towards this new book I'm about to launch, if our listeners like, I could scrounge up some money, and so now who do I hire? Because Dan Sullivan has this book called Who Not How.
Yeah.
Get the
I
right
know.
who,
That's
and you
the
don't have
thing.
to know the how.
Yeah, you don't have to know the how. You got to hire the right people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can contact me and I will refer them, but I'm not going to get into it right now. Who I have in my back pocket and who I hire.
So, if you could just give me some generalities around, is it a team of people that you've assembled? Is it one agency and they have all the pieces? Because, like, for example, with Facebook ads and YouTube ads, you
Yeah.
could work with the same agency that handles both. You could work with 2 separate agencies, one that specializes in YouTube ads. I interviewed Tom Breeze, for example, who's a YouTube ads expert,
Yeah.
top guy, and has an agency that exclusively handles YouTube ads.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. I mean, it really depends on how you want to do it, but I think it's nice to have one agency handle both if you can find the right person, because they understand your funnel, they understand your goals. You don't have to explain everything 2 separate times to 2 different agencies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you have a separate
And
publicist, because I can't imagine that the same
yeah,
agency that's handling your advertising is also going to be great at publicity.
it has to be a separate publicist. And the thing with the publicist is you've got to always know, what is it that you want? What do you want? So you want to get the publicist to get you interviews on radio, TV, magazines.
Mm-hmm.
Have a really, really good media kit, and have, pre-written questions that the host can ask you on podcast interviews, like we're doing right now. Although you're not asking me any of my pre-written questions.
No, I don't do that
You don't do
ever.
that. You don't do that. But yeah, so the publicist, you still have to do the work. People don't really know how much work it's going to be after the book comes out. And it's tiring, but you got to get out there, and you've got to get on podcast interviews and do the work. And also, driving people to have them do what you want. Like if you have a free thing that goes with your book, like, oh, I have an online course that goes with my book, or, and not, and just to be humble and subtle about it. So you're not constantly saying my book, my book, my book, but to be able to just sort of humbly steer people in that direction. It's
Mm-hmm.
more likable, I think.
Yeah. Reminds me, a long time ago, I learned a bit about pickup from Neil Strauss, who was one of the world experts on pickup artistry. He wrote the book
Oh
The
yeah.
Game, and he talked about this thing called a DHV,
Yeah.
demonstration of higher values. You don't go bragging to someone, a prospect, let's say, and mention that, yeah, I've dated a supermodel before, and I've got a fancy car, and all this sort of stuff that makes you sound like a douchebag.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Real try hard, and instead, if you're weaving these DHVs, demonstrations of higher value, into your storytelling, then it
Yes.
doesn't sound like you're bragging. Oh,
Hmm.
I got to tell you this crazy story that happened to me. Okay, so I ran into an ex-girlfriend. Can you believe it? She's actually a supermodel. So I ran into her the other day, and she had, like, and then you tell this whole story that's
Yes.
fascinating,
Yes. Yes.
but
Yeah.
you dropped these DHVs into the story so that they know that you're driving a Bugatti. You
Yes.
have a
Actually, that I teach that in my course on how to write a book. I teach that. I call them seeds. Instead of saying, "Yeah, I worked at PricewaterhouseCooper and I managed 500 people," you could say a story like, when I was working at PricewaterhouseCoopers, I had this lovely young woman who had just given her notice, and she asked me for a letter of reference, and she said, "I don't think you're going to have time because you're busy managing 500 people, but I was happy to do it for her." You can weave exactly like that,
yep.
and it makes you likable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about having some sort of free thing, like an online course that
Mhm.
allows the person to take it a step further after the book, and also gives you something else to offer as value besides just flogging the book all the time.
Yes, but not only that, is normally with traditional publishing, when you're selling your book in bookstores, you don't know who has bought your book, right?
Yeah.
So if you have more control over your book, and and maybe at the end of every chapter or somewhere in the book, you say, "I have a companion, like extra bonus chapter. Go to my website and download it." And one thing I want to recommend is that you have control over that URL wherever you're directing people. So if it's your website slash book or resources, whatever that landing page is, you can change it anytime you want. You might have a different giveaway that you're doing a year or two from now. But a lot of times people say to me, "Oh, can you change that URL in my book?" And I'm like, "I told you not to do that." Don't direct it to a URL that you don't have control over. But it's always think about, like, what's in it for the reader? How do I want my reader to feel? What do I want my reader to do? You're doing this, writing this book, so your reader can have a transformation, or can have entertainment, or can have a feeling, something, a result. And so you really do need to help them. But if they have to opt in for your free chapter or your free video course or whatever, then you can follow up with them, and you have a way higher chance of upselling them into your program or your coaching, consulting, or whatever it is you have.
Yeah. So do you plan on having a free plus shipping funnel set up for your new book? Everybody has a book but you.
I'm not actually planning to do that. I really like to sell books through Amazon.
Hmm.
So with the free plus shipping, you have to have a fulfillment company. You've got to print all the books and have a fulfillment company deliver all those books for you. So um, I'm just going to have the payment go through and then have them land on the landing page with a thank you and the free guide and everything like that, free video, and then get them in my email funnel. And then usually I do a lot of strategy calls with people.
Hmm.
It works best for me. I don't really like to have like, you know, the webinar selling at the end. It's just not comfortable for me. And whenever I say to people, you know, here's this training that I'm doing, and some of you are going to take it and run with it, and it's all you need, and other people might want to have more information. And so I'm going to put a link to my calendar, and then I just have way better close rate, to be honest, with people when I'm chatting with them on a Zoom call.
Mm.
So that's my plan. It's very, very simple. It's not very complicated at all.
So you're going to do one-on-one strategy calls instead of one-to-many, like free group coaching or webinars to get people into your buyer.
Well, I do have a closer that works for me, so I'm not the only one doing the calls.
Okay.
But yeah, no, they do. I'll do the one to many, like free training webinar, and then at the end of that, I say they actually have to apply for a call, and then I can decide if it's going to be a good fit or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you offer, or do you plan on offering bonus if somebody sends in their Amazon receipt or the Amazon ID of the receipt code?
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what I was planning on doing.
Okay. So tell us a bit about how that works.
Well, and to be really honest with you, it's hard to track. So quite honestly, people could fake it. So I was talking to my IT guy about that, and he's like, I don't know how you can track that. You can't go into their account and look at what the receipt number is. But you know, I feel like for my followers, I just attract really great people. And if somebody really wants the bonus course that badly that they're going to fake a receipt number, they can have it. Like they just have it. I just think whatever. Yeah. So I don't worry too much about stuff like that.
Yeah. And what happens for somebody who legitimately purchased your book through Amazon, sent your receipt or pasted in the receipt ID, the order ID into a form on your website, however you're going to handle the fulfillment? What happens once they've done that? What are they getting, and how do they get converted into a high ticket client? Because if they're going to get a free course, they're not paying you any money yet.
Yeah, they're getting, so on that thank you page, after they submit the form, they get a training, basically like a walkthrough where I say, okay, I teach them full value. Here's what you need to do before you write your outline. Fill in this worksheet, this and this and this and this. Okay. And then here's how you write your outline, template for the outline. And then say, you know, if you need any help with this, why don't you jump on a strategy call? And then that links to my calendar.
Got it. Okay. And what would you assign the value of the free course that you're going to be giving away? Like, is it a retail value of $97 or $997 or $4,097?
It's a portion of the course that I've been selling for many years that costs $2,000. So it's a portion of that. So I think I could probably assign a value of about $499 or $500.
Okay. And how's that course doing? That foundational course that you've been offering for many years. What's give us some insights on how that generates the value for you and for your business, and not just as something sitting there occasionally selling and not even breaking even.
Oh wow, it's more than breaking even. It's
and by the way, just to give you context around this, the reason why I asked that question is because my course doesn't even break even, or courses, I have 6 of them, And
Oh, okay.
so I've invested a lot of time and money, and I have not yet recouped what I've put into it.
Oh, shoot.
That's okay.
Yeah,
You know,
my
live and learn.
course is, it's so funny because my course is pretty much bootstrapped. I always think, oh, I got to redo this. I got to redo this course, but it works. I have people join the program and they write a book and then they tell their friends. And so I have a lot of personal referrals that I get. Actually, I'm not doing any advertising for that course right now at all, but um, any people come through LinkedIn, they hear me on a podcast, or tell me more about your program. So yeah, I mean, probably about 50% of our revenue comes from my course.
Oh, wow.
It's quite a vibrant, community of people. And we meet as a group on the first and third Wednesday of every month. And it's like a little family. And the funny thing is when people join the course, I'm like, yeah, now you're stuck with me. Someone the other day was, I was having to give him a little bit of tough love because he hasn't been doing much writing. And he was like, I can't find the time to write. And I'm just curious, Suzanne, like what happens like when I'm at the end of my like 1 year contract, and I was like, it's okay. Like I got you. And I end up becoming good friends with my clients and I want them to succeed and I want them to do well. So, you know, it's not it's I've been in other people's courses where there's a huge number of people and it's you just feel like a number, like they don't the coach doesn't even remember you, but I know all my people and I care about them a lot.
Hmm.
So yeah, and to answer your question, like it's really word of mouth. And anytime I go to a networking event, which there hasn't been very many lately, yeah, I promote it there and promote it whenever I'm chatting with people.
Hmm. What's the name of the course?
The Expert Author Program.
Cool. Well, we'll put a link in the show notes to that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yep.
If people want to go to Expert Author Program, there's actually a free blueprint they can download that gives you an idea of the steps to writing and publishing a book.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned that you have a closer who works for you. Is that
Mm-hmm.
somebody that you hired as an internal staff person, or are you working with an outside contractor or agency that
Yeah.
does the closing? How does that work?
Yeah, it's somebody that I've known for a long, long time, and I used to work with her, and I know that she's good at sales, and I really trust her. So I always say to people, you know what? Only hire a closer when you literally have too many calls to handle. So if I'm doing more than 15 sales calls in a week, I find them really exhausting because on a sales call on 30 minutes, I want to know about your business. I want to know why you want to write a book. I want to know if it's a good fit. I want to know if I can help you. And so it's a lot, right? And it's intense. And so if I have 5 calls in a day, I'm exhausted at the end of the day. So for me, 15 a week is my max because I only do them on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And so uh, my colleague, her name's Debbie. She's just I recorded a bunch of sales calls that I did, and she just takes over when I've got too many on the books.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I know it's hard because I'm really really lucky that I trust her and I know her. I know her style, but I don't know how I would go about like finding someone on Upwork or something like that it's unnerving because you don't want these hot leads to not close, right? There are people who want to join your program and then the closer goes, yeah, it didn't work out. I'm like, why not?
Yeah, that's like throwing money away.
I know. And it's hard in your business when you feel like, oh, I should just do it myself, but you can't do everything.
Yeah. Now, you said you record the sales calls that you have to hand over to the closer.
Mhm.
I'm guessing that the prospect knows that you're recording the call.
Yes. And usually what happens is, um, not usually, I say to them, is it okay if I record this call? Because in case one of us says something brilliant, I want to be able to send you the recording if you want it. So I'm upfront about that. And sometimes we get deep into their book and different ideas for their book. And so I'll send them the recording, whether or not they decide to join the program.
Hmm.
It's still a valuable tip for them sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, that's nice. Very cool. So, you long time ago when we first met, you mentioned in the mastermind that you have this great process for getting testimonials. And then you actually followed up with me, sent me an email with the blueprint, the template for requesting testimonials from your clients who are happy. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to delve into that a little bit because it's such a cool template that you sent.
Have you been using it?
I have not, but I will.
It works so well.
I know, and I should have. It's funny. I have to admit, it's that email you sent me is still in my action folder, even though it's 5 years.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's one of the oldest emails in my action folder, and it's still there, which
Oh,
is
wow.
kind of
That's great.
yeah, kind of funny, but also kind of dysfunctional. Clearly, if I can't get something implemented in 5 years, I should probably just file it.
What's stopping you? How are you getting testimonials now?
Um,
Are you or
we're not actively doing it. It's been a while. I have tons of
Mhm.
testimonials on my site. And
Yeah, testimonials are so important for social proof
yeah,
because other people that are checking you out, they want to know that other people have had success.
yeah. And there's a plethora of great testimonials. Thing is the newest one is probably 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, yeah, they kind of have to be up to date.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the nudge.
It's more of a kick.
Yeah. But let's talk
Yeah, no,
about it. What's the process? What's the secret sauce or the magic behind getting an amazing testimonial and not just a ho hum one?
well, first of all, I think it has to start at the beginning of the relationship with a new client saying, just so you know, I'm going to be asking you for a testimonial one day when we're finished all our work. Like you kind of gently say it like that so they know, oh, so we're going to work together and then I'm going to give a testimonial, that kind of thing. And even when I launch sometimes I launch new like mini courses and stuff. Like I had one where I did it called 8-Week Author and it was only $499. It was only 8 weeks. And I said to people, I'm going to let you take the course for the low price of $499. But here's what I need from you. Two things. One is constructive feedback on how the course can be better. And the second thing is testimonial. So if you can agree to those two things, everybody's like, okay. So what I do, I don't have it right in front of me, but it's I send an email and the subject line says 3 quick questions. And then in the body of the email, I say, hey, Janet, it's been such a pleasure working with you. And I'm so happy that your book is finished and whatever, blah, blah. How's your dog? Whatever. And then I say, I have 3 quick questions for you. It'll only take 2 minutes. So that kind of brings down their level of like, hey, can I ask you for a testimonial? People are like, I totally want to do this for you, but I really don't have time. So you just say I have 3 quick questions and it'll only take 2 minutes. Please just reply to this email. And then number 1, I wish you had warned me about this because I don't have it in front of me, but usually number 1, I say, what was your biggest worry before working with me and what happened instead? And then, which is great because people are like, well, I wasn't sure if I really wanted to spend the money to invest in a course when I thought I could just write a book myself. And then it turns out that it was the best thing that I ever did. And you get you can see little snippets from these testimonials where like best money I ever spent or whatever,
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, I don't remember.
Well, I can help you with that because I'm looking at your email.
Okay, what's the second question? I'm on the spot.
What specifically was your favorite part of the program and why?
Yeah. And everybody always says the group coaching or the coaching. Everybody, and I always says that. I always say the people who come to the coaching calls are the ones who write their books. And then what was the third question?
If you were to recommend my company to your best friend, what would you say?
Yes, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
I had this woman who filled it out. She was just one author in a multi-author book. And when I was communicating with her for the book, she was very curt, very short. She just sent quick little emails. And I felt like she didn't like me. I was like, I don't know why she doesn't like me, but some people just don't like me. So maybe she doesn't like the sound of my voice or my frizzy hair.
Are we good at making up stories?
I know. It was so crazy because when I got her testimonial, she's like, if you want someone that you can rely on, someone who will never let you down, call Suzanne. If you want someone who has your back, call Suzanne. And I'm like, what? She likes me. So not only is it good for business to have these testimonials, it's good for your self-esteem as well.
Yeah. Well, I interviewed on my other show, Marissa Peer, a couple
Oh,
times.
I love her.
She's amazing.
I love her.
Yeah. And she's got a book out. A new one. The newest one is The Lies We Tell Ourselves. And that would have been one of the lies you would have been telling yourself, like, oh, she doesn't even like me. It's like, she's so curt.
Exactly.
She doesn't like me. It's not true.
Exactly. But it's a great lesson because I always remind myself, like, I don't know what's going on in someone else's life. They could be taking care of a dying parent or dying pet, or maybe they're going through a divorce. Who knows what's happening in someone else's life? And so just have grace and kindness and patience with people.
Yeah. Yeah. Positive expectancy is another secret.
Yes. I got to tell you something funny. I was just in Europe and I was talking, I did the Camino. It's a walk. I did 144 kilometers, just a portion of it. But
wow.
I remember it was so funny.
How much did you walk?
Well, you can do like 700. I think there's 100 different routes. So they all end in Santiago de Compostela in Spain, where it's this big, huge cathedral, and it's so amazing. But I did the Portuguese coastal route, and I just decided to start north of Porto. I didn't want to like kill myself, so I thought like I'm going to do like the elderly lady way. So I just walked between 10 and 20 kilometers a day, and it was nice. And then in the evening I'd have a glass of wine and some seafood, and it was awesome.
But still, that's impressive.
What I love,
that's impressive. Like how many miles was that all in, or kilometers?
I don't know how many miles it is. It's 144.9 kilometers.
That's amazing. Congrats.
But I was going to say, speaking of the lies we tell ourselves, I have worked so much on my mindset over the years that when I would hear people speaking in Spanish or Portuguese, I would think that they're saying really nice things. I always think like, oh, that's such a nice woman over there. She's just so lovely. But she could have been saying, horrible things, but I just always assumed that Rhoda was saying nice things. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of funny how you tell yourself either the negative or the positive.
Well, the magic of it is you actually influence the outcome by your beliefs.
Yes. Yes. It's so true.
Yeah.
Are you going to write a book about that?
I am working on a book about kind of that. The book is called Living in a Friendly Universe. And yeah.
Oh, nice.
It really is a friendly universe. Some people don't see it that way. And then they bring that reality into the forefront. But the true reality is that everything's a blessing. Sometimes the blessing's not revealed yet, but it's all a blessing.
I totally believe that. Yeah. I could go on and on with stories about that. Like I had an experience on the Camino where I went into a church to get out of the sun and have some shade, and I was sitting there. I took my backpack off, and then the priest came over and he was talking to me in Spanish, and I couldn't understand what he was saying. And finally, he said, he looks at me, he goes, doors closed. And I got kicked out of the church. and I was thinking, but I just wanted to have a minute to ask God to show me the way, because I couldn't find the yellow arrows that day, and I didn't know if I was going the right way. And as soon as I walked, like I was laughing. And like, I got kicked out of the church. I guess I'm not, I don't fit in here. I don't know, right? It
More
was so
lies
funny,
you're telling
but
yourself. Okay.
Exactly. So I didn't go there. I was laughing about like this man, and when he was speaking to me in Spanish, I was assuming he was saying like, "You're such a lovely person." Because anyways, I walked out of the church, and this woman appeared out of nowhere. Honestly, she was beautiful, Spanish. She walked towards me and she said, "Hi, can I help you find the way?" I was like, what is happening? Yes. How do you know that I just was in the church asking for help finding the way. And it was just so beautiful and so amazing. And I had lots of things like that happen on the Camino.
That's cool.
I highly recommend
That's so cool. It's like once you're tapped in, you become like Neo in the Matrix, and stuff just materializes in front of your very eyes.
I know. It's so cool.
Yeah. It's awesome. Now, back to this email that you send to get a testimonial. I love the little bit at the end where you're a little bit cheeky, and you say, "Okay, now there is one last question."
Yeah,
Can I
yeah, I
use
know
your
it was only three
answers as a
questions. Yeah,
testimonial? And then you put in
yeah,
parentheses, see, question mark, I am sneaky.
yeah,
That's
exactly. I'm
cute.
sneaky.
That's
And then
cute.
everybody says, yes, of course you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also was doing uh, author spotlights with some of my clients as well, where we do like a StreamYard side by side interview like this after their book comes out and really talk about like, how are you using your book as a marketing tool? Like, I want to show people who don't have a book, you know, what comes after the book, what I call beyond the book. You know, how has life changed? How has your business changed? What has happened? Because a lot of times when people get really, really clear when they're writing a book, they got to get really, really clear on what their business is and who they help and how they help them. And then they get more business. It's just amazing.
So give us an example of a client who completely transformed their business and their life by having a book.
Okay, I would love to. There's a but okay, one woman, her name's Julie Sawchuk. She is amazing. She used to be a teacher, a high school teacher, and when she was in her 40s, she decided to wanted to get in shape. So she started running, and then she decided to sign up for a triathlon, and she did a triathlon, and she really liked it, and so she decided to do another triathlon. And she was riding her bike down the road one day, and she got hit by a car, went flying through the air, landed in a ditch, almost died, and is now living with a disability. And she has a wheelchair. She uses a wheelchair. I learned so much from her. I feel like I learned more from her than she learned from me, but I loved my journey with her as my client because now she has three books. The first one was Building an Accessible Home, where she said this is what you need to know, right? And then she got a writing contract with the Spinal Cord Institute of Ontario, and they actually paid her to write a book about like what happens next. So nobody plans for this to happen. You literally wake up at the hospital one day and you got to leave in a wheelchair. So what do you do and how do you live? So that's a really great book. And then she wrote another book called Building Better Bathrooms. And so now she has a successful consulting firm, and she helps businesses make sure their bathrooms are accessible. I didn't know this, but you can't just put a grab bar on the wall willy nilly. It has to be in a certain position. Even the toilet has to be in a certain way, so that people have their independence. But what was really cool about her too was she decided to create an online course for high school students who are in the construction program, because she felt like these, mostly guys, but some girls, were graduating high school with a certificate in construction to build houses and buildings, but they don't learn anything about accessibility. So her course is on top of that. And so I don't know if I feel comfortable giving like her financial numbers, but let's say there's a certain set price that she sells this course to high schools. They have a license for 1 year. They have the budget for it. One day she sold 20 of them in a day, and they're really wonderfully priced. And I just feel so happy for her that she's not sitting at home trying to figure out how to sell books. But being an author in this space has opened so many doors for her. She even got a consulting job with Dyson vacuums. She said to them one day, she was somewhere and she was speaking at an event, and Dyson was there. And she said, I was vacuuming the other day and I fell out of my wheelchair because I couldn't, it was very difficult to do. And they're like, oh my gosh, we never even thought about that. Can you help us figure out how we can make better vacuums? So it's amazing. It's amazing what has happened for her career. And she's such a lovely person, and she deserves the very, very best that life can bring. And so that's just one story, but there's lots of stories because I get so excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're making a difference for people. That's for sure. Now, when somebody like that is putting their name out there in the world and has a great, valuable offer, do you also help them produce the media kit and get onto podcasts and all that? Is that part of what your company does, or you do refer them to other folks?
Yeah, no, we do that, but we actually just teach them. We give them templates, and I have a podcast training. I have a whole training on how to get booked on podcasts, which I'm actually thinking I only give it to my clients. And I was thinking I should sell that. It's people love it, so do it as like a little mini course. But yeah, we teach them how to get booked on podcasts, and it's really simple. It is. I mean, my assistant reached out to you with the little script, or to your assistant, and then both of them work together to put this on the calendar, and here we are, right? It's pretty simple to get
And
booked
by
on
the way,
podcasts, but
I did
people,
not remember who you were when
I
I
know,
saw the
I know,
the,
it's so
the
funny.
email from my assistant saying, "Do you want this person?" She only uh, uh, lets. She's a good gatekeeper, so people who don't make
Yes.
the cut don't even get in front of me. But you made the cut, of
Yeah.
course, and she was
Yay. Even though it wasn't even a
just getting
personal favor.
approval before getting me confirmed with, or getting you confirmed on my show. So that I didn't connect the dots yet at that point. That, oh, that's, yeah, Suzanne. I met her. We had a great
Yeah, I
conversation.
know.
Yeah,
I know. It's
yeah,
funny. I know that was so
small
funny
world.
when I just noticed that too.
Yeah.
My assistant just puts the podcast on my calendar. I generally don't look at who's who until a couple days before.
Hmm.
And I was just in Europe, so and luckily we rearranged this because I was going to do it when I was in Portugal, and I'm glad that we arranged it for a time that I was home and a little bit more
Yeah,
relaxed.
yeah. It's not worth stressing over. Like, oh, I don't do podcasts when I'm traveling, any of that kind of stuff. Or if I'm hitting up against a big deadline or something, I'm not gonna stress myself out.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Awesome.
Gotta be relaxed.
So,
Yeah.
what would be the, I don't know, parting nugget of wisdom that you want to share with our listener or viewer? Something that you haven't already shared that could make a huge difference in their life or their business.
I would say, remember, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world.
Hmm.
And somebody might be looking for you right now. And I truly believe that having a book helps get you exposure and visibility. And it's like you said, Stephan, it's easy. You know, whether you have a ghostwriter or you write your book yourself, it's such an easy thing to do when you have a good plan and a good blueprint, and someone guiding you, like me, and someone who's your cheerleader. But I just feel like I tell my clients all the time, everything you need is already inside of you. You are enough, and you matter, and your story matters. And I love to be able to help people get it out there.
Yeah, awesome. And I believe you have a free gift for our listener.
Yes, if they want to get my free little blueprint, it's at expertauthorprogram.com. And they can sign up for it there and poke around the website and see what they want to see,
Yeah,
see what they can find out
and
there.
potentially work with you. Yep, awesome.
Give me a call.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. It was great to reconnect, and thank you for all the wisdom and great stories and advice that you shared in this interview. Listener, I hope you take advantage of the information that was shared and turn that into some revelation of light in the world. Make a difference for more people. If you can do it in the form of a book, fabulous. But if you can't, at least do something, an article, blog post, a video on YouTube, something to spread the light. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Mhm.
I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.